Have you ever wondered why you felt a certain resistance whenever you wanted to start or complete an important task? Or why you procrastinate even though you know it's bad for you? You sit down to write a sentence, mail, script, or anything that is important. But the first thing you do is grab your cell phone and watch YouTube videos or play video games. Not only does procrastination prevent us from achieving our goals, but it also makes us anxious, which in turn makes us procrastinate. It's a vicious cycle we need to break if we want to achieve our goals. What if I told you that you are not the problem and that you are not a procrastinator? You can finally achieve your goal if you follow the strategies in this video. So in this video, I will show you why we procrastinate, the importance of a habit loop, and some strategies and tips to overcome the habit of procrastination. Alright, let's start at the beginning. What is procrastination? Well, it's not just laziness or lack of motivation. So what is it then? Let's find out. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily postponing our decisions or actions. It is often replaced with more enjoyable but often less important activities. Now, how do you know that you're procrastinating? Well, if you find yourself constantly delaying important tasks, make excuses like never finding the perfect time to start, struggling to get started, unmotivated or too tired to start, always doing something else first, such as cleaning, chances are you're stuck in the procrastination trap. So why do we procrastinate despite knowing the negative consequences? Well, it could be due to one of the following reasons. You might think that the task is boring. You might feel overwhelmed due to the complexity of the task. You might feel unmotivated. So how can we get out of this procrastination trap? Notice that procrastination is an action. When you repeatedly perform the same action over and over again, it will become a habit. Think of procrastination as a habit loop. Every habit loop has three parts: a cue, a routine, and lastly, a reward. The cue triggers a routine, the habit itself, which is followed by a reward that reinforces the habit. Cues or triggers can generally be a location, a time of day, or even an emotional state. The routine is the action or actions that you take after being triggered. This could be scrolling your phone, biting your nails, or watching Netflix. The brain repeats the same actions or routine in order to get the same reward in the future. While we can't always control the triggers, we have complete control over our actions or routine. Imagine you're sailing a ship without a destination in mind, without a clear goal. You're just drifting aimlessly on the vast ocean, unsure of where you're going or why you're even sailing. But when you set a clear destination, like a distant island on the horizon, suddenly everything changes. You have a purpose, a direction to steer towards. Similarly, having a clear and well-defined goal is like setting sail towards that distant island. It gives you a sense of purpose and direction, guiding your actions and helping you navigate through challenges. Studies have also shown that we procrastinate more if our goals are abstract or vaguely defined. For example, if I set a goal to read more, that is much more likely to lead into procrastination than a more specific goal like reading 30 minutes each evening. With a clear goal in mind, you are less likely to procrastinate because you perfectly know what you're trying to achieve, which enables you to define the next steps towards your goal. Great! Now that you have defined clear goals, it's time to move on to the next strategy. Whenever I sit down to complete an important task, I make sure that my desk is clutter-free. An uncluttered desk minimizes distractions and optimizes focus. I only have the essentials in front of me: my laptop, mouse, and keyboard. I place my phone face down on the side so that it's out of sight. It is my deep work setup. You know why this works so well? Because my brain has nothing else to pay attention to. All of the things that are more interesting and fun are removed from my workspace during these deep work hours. In other words, there's nothing else to do except doing the work. Your brain will make that task as entertaining as necessary to avoid boredom. Without distractions, you'll put all your mental resources to use on your work. Tying this to the habit loop. By creating a clutter-free environment and eliminating all distractions, you are basically eliminating the triggers for procrastination. Now that we have defined clear goals and set ourselves up for success, it's time to do the work. But oh, we have so many goals and to-dos in our list. Your mind goes into overdrive, and guess what? You procrastinate. The easiest and fastest way to avoid being overwhelmed is by having fewer goals and to-dos in your list. I'm not saying to avoid or eliminate these tasks, but rather to complete tasks that only take 2 minutes to complete. This will prevent from these small tasks ending up in your list. These small tasks could be taking out the trash, organizing the desk, watering plants. Once we have our goals and tasks, it's time to make use of the Eisenhower matrix. The first step is to identify which tasks or goals are important. But how do you know which tasks or goals are important? Important goals and tasks have the biggest impact on the outcome. Some may identify that everything is important, but according to the 80-20 rule, 20% of your efforts produce 80% of the result. So it's your job to find the 20% that would yield the biggest result. It may take you a while to determine the 20%, but I am certain that you will get there. Once you have identified the importance of each goal or task, it's time to move on to the next step. The second step is to highlight what is urgent. Some tasks are determined by deadlines set by other people. It is also important to think about the sequence of the actions that you need to take in order to achieve your goal. For instance, the video that you're watching right now is the result of performing the following actions in order: research, scripting, filming, and editing. Now that we have prioritized each goal or task according to their importance and urgency, it's time to set a deadline for each goal or task. But why are deadlines so important? Deadlines are important because it helps you focus. When speaking of deadlines, it's hard not to talk about Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. To paraphrase, the more time you have for a task, the longer it takes to complete that task. Say, for example, you're given a 2-week deadline to complete a project task. You may be relieved knowing you have ample time. However, the distant deadline causes you to take longer than necessary to complete the project task at hand, or you procrastinate and complete the task barely before the due date. My advice is to set a deadline that you are barely able to make. For instance, if you know that you can complete a task within 2 days, give yourself 1 day to complete the task. But in the beginning, you will probably struggle to meet your deadlines, and that's completely normal. But the beauty of setting a deadline that you are barely able to make is that you will certainly finish the task around your target date. If you would have given yourself 2 days to complete the task, it would have at least taken you 2 days or more to complete it. By giving yourself less time to complete the task, you will increase the chances that you will complete the task on time because of the wiggle room that you have created for yourself. But make it a habit to meet your deadlines. Now that we've prioritized each goal or task and set deadlines, it's finally time to do the actual work. All the strategies that I've discussed so far were meant to deal with the common triggers that lead to procrastination. The following tips aim to change the routine that you follow when you are triggered to procrastinate. Let's say you're going through a hectic work week. Your to-do list contains minor tasks such as answering emails, making phone calls, as well as more difficult tasks such as creating a new process from scratch. In the midst of the chaos, would you rather choose the simple task or the harder task? Comment down below what you would choose. Most of us would rather pick simpler tasks when struggling with a heavy workload. Not all work hours are created equal. The first hour of the morning, when your willpower, energy, and focus are high, you are a lot more productive compared to the hours after lunch when all you want to do is take a nap. So what happens if you work on the less important task first? Well, you've probably guessed it. You will procrastinate on important tasks because you have nothing left in the tank. The first tip is to eat your ugliest frog first. Eating your ugliest frog first ensures that you are using your best hours to complete the most important task. Next up, how do you eat an elephant? Often we face elephants or big tasks or goals that seem overwhelming, but these become less intimidating if you break them down into smaller goals or tasks. Try to simplify tasks to 2 minutes or less to overcome resistance. For example, instead of reading a whole book, you would read a chapter. Let's say you want to earn 120K per year. This figure might seem overwhelming at first sight, but let's break it down. In order to earn 120K per year, you would need to earn 12K per month. And in order to earn 12K per month, you would need to earn $400 a day. You would need to charge $50 an hour. As you can see, We started with a goal of earning $120K per year, which seems overwhelming at first, to earning $50 an hour, which is totally doable. When I was a kid, we often went to the zoo. The most exciting part of the zoo for me was the dolphin show. During the dolphin show, I have noticed that the trainers gave the dolphins fish after performing a certain trick. The trainers give fish to the dolphins as positive reinforcement for successfully completing or performing the trick during the show. It is important to reward ourselves after completing a task or goal. The reward is what reinforces the behavior or routine so that it becomes a habit. Rewards will encourage you to keep pushing forward whenever the going gets tough. It also improves your focus as well. When you know there is something positive waiting at the end of a task, you'll be more likely to stay focused throughout the process. This in turn increases productivity and helps prevent procrastination from setting in. The key is to find rewards that work for you. Whether it's taking time off or treating yourself with small gifts or your favorite snack, make sure that these rewards are enjoyable so that you have something to look forward to. Last but not least, what sets high achievers or high performance athletes apart from the rest, in my opinion, is their professional work ethic. They show up, rain or shine, they get the job done regardless of their mood. So if you are currently stuck in a rut and for once you want to achieve success, watch this next video where I talk about the habits of successful people.